Hey, Rick, good afternoon.
Hey, Megan. Good afternoon.
Oh my gosh, it's been a week this week. We usually record on Tuesdays and it's Friday
Mhm.
afternoon,
It
and
is.
it is what it is. That's what we say at our house. Some days you eat the bears and other days the bears eat you, right?
Yeah, it's been one of those weeks, but I was up in Israel. I was in Chico picking up my daughter in Chico this week. So that was fun. Got her back home for the summer.
I love it. I know she sounded very cheery and happy when we spoke on the phone the other day.
Yeah, she's glad to be home.
Good, good. Wonderful. Well, I know that you are itching to scratch a topic that you texted me about this week. So let's do it.
Yeah, thanks. We talked a couple weeks over the past 2 weeks or so about the new price increases for conventional loans based on FICO score. So just to summarize that real quickly, it used to be that a 740 FICO score was the best FICO score. Anything above that, you were golden. And then there was really no extra, and you got a better rate on a 740 or over a 700 FICO score. The new laws have changed, the new guidelines have changed, where now even at a 740 up to now a 780 credit score, you pay a additional price increase for the higher credit scores. So effectively, with the new policies, home buyers are no longer rewarded, if you will, for the higher credit scores. They're actually, in a sense, penalized now for higher credit scores, unconventional. But there's a great alternative to the conventional mortgage, which we don't talk about this a lot. It's a great program. It's been around for a long time. It's called FHA. Now, FHA is a program backed by HUD, so it's a government-sponsored program. And by the way, what people don't really know about FHA, when it first came into existence around, I want to say 1932 or 33, it was designed as the first quote unquote first-time home buyer program. And so FHA is designed to help first-time buyers, but it's not a requirement to be a first-time buyer for HUD. The beauty of the FHA program is it's really, really forgiving in terms of credit scores, and the rates are lower. So I've been pricing out some loans the last week or two, and so on let's say a 5 or 10% down conventional mortgage, now compared to an FHA loan, the FHA loan will be typically between 3/4 and 1% lower in rate and lower in fees as well. So it's much
pretty
better way to
big
go.
difference.
It's a big difference. So we can always look at the conventional mortgage and compare them in every example.
Right.
But if we're looking at just that payment, FHA is a great way to go. And you can even do them with a much lower credit score. So still get the great rate. So if somebody had a 660 credit score, they're still going to get a really, really good rate on an FHA loan compared to a conventional. And certainly in the higher credit score is a really great rate as well.
What would be the con of going FHA when you could just do a 10% down? Like, is there a bad scenario in this for the borrower?
Well, people, it's a great question. People get hung up on the PMI piece. And so the cool thing with
let's spell it out, because I hate when people use acronyms when I don't know it.
Okay, let's look at that. So PMI unconventional is called private mortgage insurance.
Thank you.
On FHA, they don't call it PMI, they call it MIP, which is mortgage insurance premium. Okay.
So
has
silly.
the same effect. They call it something different.
Of
Now,
course they do.
With FHA, they lowered the MIP, or the PMI, if you will, from 0.85 to 0.55 this year. So the PMI or MIP for FHA is now lower than it was a few months ago. So that's good news. So if you're looking at the lower down payments, 5% down, 10% down, you're still going to have PMI on the conventional mortgages. It's still less than the FHA. I mean, typically on a conventional mortgage, it's around a 0.2 to 0.25 versus a 0.55 on the FHA. But if you're looking at a spread of nearly 1% on rate, the FHA is still going to be a better payment.
Yeah, no kidding.
Now, the one key difference, though, Megan, is that on the FHA, they also have what's called an upfront MIP. And that's 1.75% of your base loan amount, and that gets added to the loan amount. It's financed. But even once you consider that, that's still a better payment by far over most conventional mortgages.
Right. Right. Well, good. I'm glad that you brought this up, and I know that someone can call you and you can lay out a couple different scenarios for them
Right.
to try to weigh the pros and cons of each and come up with a best plan of action.
True. By the way, one more last thing, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
real quick. On the FHA, you can go
Uh-huh.
as low as 3.5% down payment.
Yeah, that's definitely
So that's pretty cool
attractive.
too.
Yeah. Yeah, that things are not improving. You know, the spring has sort of come and gone, and we're heading towards summer, you know, and this should have been the busiest time of the year with the most
Mhm.
amount of homes going up for sale, and it was like a diesel truck that ran out of gas, you know, it just puttered out,
Yeah.
and you can't get it restarted. You got to work on it, and that's kind of what's happening. Last week, I was
Mhm.
listening to the Housing Wire podcast. I love Logan Mohochami, and
Mhm.
he had a killer episode I listened to yesterday. And he said that in the whole United States, the whole thing, last week, there were only 622 new listings.
Yikes.
I almost died. I almost drove off the side of the road. 622. We're
Wow.
so low. We are so down that you know, people just aren't moving. And the way that people have moved in the past and the reasons and everything else has
Mhm.
all changed. So, you know, waiting, I just got through with the listing appointment. That's where I'm at. You know, and
Mhm.
sometimes a listing appointment is, yes, they should sell their house. And sometimes a listing appointment is like, I don't think you should sell your house. And this listing appointment was a hybrid of everything. And, you know, the homeowner asked me, it's like, well, if I sell my house, can I buy later for less? It's like, is this, no, this is not
Mm.
a risk we're willing to take. If you've got to get an
Right.
FHA loan with a little bit of mortgage insurance, just get it and get it done.
Yeah, boy.
You know,
Yeah.
you got, this whole situation, the market inventory has been super low
Mm.
for years. It's not
Mhm. It
improving.
has.
And so you've got
Right.
to sit down with your mortgage person and, you know, preferably Rick, of course, and, you know, lay down some scenarios and just rake it over the
Mhm.
coals and figure out
Mhm.
which loan is best for you, because
Yep.
it's not getting any better out there. And now that it's going to be summer and there was no huge, you know, rush of spring inventory, you know, then
All right.
this is how the rest of the year is going to be. So
And yeah, and that's a good point. And frankly, I know you agree with me on this. I don't see that changing anytime soon.
no, and people are like, well, the rates are going to go lower by the end of the year. Well, then guess what? There'll be more buyers. Please don't be silly and try to, you know, time the market. Just
Yeah,
find out
timing
what
is
you
not
can
a winning.
afford
Yeah,
and get it done. That's my advice for this week. So
that
if
is
it,
the
like I
best
said,
advice. I mean,
if it's an FHA
and
loan, just do it.
yeah, and that's a great advice. We've talked about this over the years, and here's what it is: time is not your friend. It's
Hmm.
not. And so people think, I mean, if everything was static, if rates didn't change, if home values didn't change, you could just hang out for a while. That might be a good strategy, but
That'd be
that's not
fun.
the situation, right?
It's not.
So time is not our friend right now. Property values are going up. We know that because you see multiple offers.
Hmm.
And yeah, you're right. Now is the time to buy if you can find, if you can get a house, get it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. All right. Well, I appreciate you and your time, and I wish you have
Appreciate
a
you, Megan.
lovely weekend.
You too. Thanks.
All right. I'll talk to you
Yeah.
soon.
We'll see you later. Take care, Megan.
Bye.
Bye.